Hello, everyone. Nice seeing you. Nice seeing so many faces that keep coming to our Kula Brajana Europe Online. Today, we're super excited. We have Eva Ananya from Austria, who will be teaching us pranayama. But before, let me share my screen. Oh, I see where I did not start in the first page. So here we go. Kula Brajana Europe Online. Welcome, everyone. My name is Leticia Guastavino. I am a certified Anusara teacher living here in Austria, even though I am from Chile. So you will hear my accent. As always, we wanted, what does Kula Brajana means, right? Many people cannot understand the meaning and they're asking for the pronunciation. So it's Brajana. A group of country coordinators wanted to create a space for our community to get together, share experiences, and talk about yoga-related stuff. So we wanted to share, so to say, the wisdom of our European teachers. And then thanks to Bill Mahoney, we got the name of Kula Brajana, which can be translated as illuminating the Kula or allowing the light of the Kula to shine. As always, I ask you to please mute your microphones and use the chat for communications. Who are we? Well, we are a group of country coordinators from UK and Ireland, Germany, Netherlands, Scandinavia area, and Spain. And we are a sister program for the Samudra Shakti Online, a program created in the States. So our presenter, Eva Ananya, as I said, I'm very happy. She is from here, from Austria, from my home. I mean, she is home. Eva is an experienced certified Anusara Yoga teacher, training new teachers since 2011, even though she became Anusara certified and started to train in 2018. But she's been teaching for a long time. Eva leads Anusara teacher trainings both in Vienna and in India. She has numerous workshops and trainings. Among them, she has done yoga therapy training. She has done advanced trainings in tantric philosophy, pranayama trainings, and many more. And she is also a certified rolfer and shiatsu practitioner. In her agenda, she has why practice and teach pranayama, a brief introduction to pranayama, how to sequence pranayama into your yoga class or practice, and a guided practice of hopefully 1 or 2 techniques depending on the time, and obviously frequently asked questions. Where am I? There. That's it. So no more to say. I stop my screen and I let the microphone for Eva. Please go ahead, Eva.
So sorry, just when you started to talk, my internet went off, but I'm back in time. Those technical issues always we are facing now as yoga teachers when we are online. The moment you start teaching, internet is gone and you think, oh, what to do? Take a deep breath and relax. And we are already there at the theme. So I sadly don't know what Letizia told you, but I'm pretty sure she told you a little bit about the topic of today's session. And yeah, first I wanted to start with, oh, I'm creeping now. First I wanted to tell something about my story with the topic, with pranayama. So, let's start with yoga first, because that's maybe a good road to go. So first, I started actually with Bikram yoga. Yeah. But after a while doing Bikram yoga, I had the feeling that the sequence is, let's say, nice, outdated a little bit. Yeah. They do some pranayama, which are quite interesting. And I thought there must be more because people are telling me so many good things about yoga. And I thought, okay, there must be more than just that sequence. So I went to other yoga classes. For a few years, I was searching for the right yoga for me. After Bikram, I tried out the Ashtanga, Shivananda yoga. I tried other styles, Vinyasa flow, and yeah. And I found in Ashtanga yoga the work for my body I needed, but I missed a little bit the heart. I found rest and relaxation in Shivananda yoga, but I missed a little bit the precious and exact alignment instructions. I also did a 6 weeks training program in India in an Iyengar Yoga Institute. I loved the exact alignment, but it was not the right practice for me at home where I don't have hours for my practice. I was already a certified rolfer when I worked in San Francisco. And close to the University of California in Berkeley, there was the yoga studio. It was called Yoga Kula. I think it's still there, but it's not Anusara anymore, I think. And it was at that time Anusara studio. I registered there for yoga class and had my first Anusara yoga class with Abby Tucker. For me, it was a real blast, yeah, a revelation, because I found my role thing in yoga. So the exact alignment, exactly what I tell the people when I do role thing, I found that in yoga, and it was a wow, what's that? Never heard about it. And back home, I was searching for an Anusara studio, and there was not even one Anusara teacher in Austria. So I decided, okay, if there is no Anusara teacher, I need to get an Anusara teacher as well. I was already a yoga teacher. So I was searching for a teacher training program, and I found one in Berlin and registered, and did it. And started with several teacher trainings. During those days, we don't, like today, we do one teacher training, one immersion and teacher training, and then the advanced things. But in the old days, we did 5, 6 teacher training programs. And that's what I did. In Vienna, we announced our first teacher training in our yoga studio in 2010. It was even before we started the studio, a few months before. I would never have dared to do it myself because I was not very self-confident during those days. But a wonderful teacher and friend of mine pushed me and supported me and led also the teacher training for several years for us until we, or myself and Karsten, who is a teacher at my studio as well, we felt ready for it. One of his main focus from the main teacher in our teacher training program was on pranayama. And he is such a warm-hearted human. He is so energetic and he radiates. So he's really a tejas day. So that's him. And I wanted to have that too. I wanted to shine as bright as he is always doing. And he told me that it comes from pranayama. And so I went for it. And what can I say? Since that time, I can't do it. I can't live without pranayama, actually. It's like brushing my teeth in the morning or taking a shower in the morning. I do my pranayama, especially in the morning, I need to say. Just a daily routine for me, an everyday routine. And today I want to try to pass on to you a little bit of the enthusiasm and love that I have for pranayama as Ananda did with me. Or at least I would like to kindle a little of this fire or light in you. I hope it works. It will work. Yeah. I knew from some teacher trainings I did before Anusara Yoga. I knew some of those classical pranayamas everyone knows, I think. So Ujjayi, Kapalabhati, alternate breathing, those things. Yeah? And especially Ujjayi challenged me a lot. I never got it right. My Ashtanga yoga teacher always said, "You're not loud enough, I can't hear you." Yeah, and I was really like, "Oh, come on, I can't do it." And so I got really frustrated about doing that pranayama in my practice. Yeah, and so I stopped actually, and I was not really happy. And when someone said, "Okay, we have pranayama in that class," I thought, "Okay, I don't go there." And also Kapalabhati was not really something I really loved because I couldn't feel any connection by the way it was taught to me before. So pranayama was not really on my focus. It rather annoyed me. But after a few months of Anusara practice, actually, Ujjayi came naturally to me. And then I learned what Ujjayi is in the tantric context, that not, as I got told, all people in the class need to hear me and my Ujjayi, but it's something I need to hear. It's for my focus, not for the others. That was so new to me. Sorry. It was so new to me. And yeah, it somehow was a relief because I felt that natural Ujjayi, and it just came with the Anusara practice, with doing our UPAs, our universal principles of alignment, and getting into it, and so focused on the things I do that I really did the Ujjayi breath without really doing it. It just came naturally. So I really started feeling the benefit of it. It was a time where there was, I think, 1 or 2 books available on pranayama. It was Light on Pranayama, of course, from Eva Ananya, which is a good literature, by the way, and some books from the Bihar School of Yoga. So I realized I need to learn more from teachers. So back to yoga, the oral tradition. And that's what I did. So I went to several teachers and tried to learn as much as possible about pranayama. So that's my little story about it and how I came to pranayama. And I really started to love pranayama and integrate it in my everyday practice. So what is pranayama? Or maybe let's first turn to the breath itself. So breathing is one of the most fundamental and essential activities that our body performs. And it is essential for our life. Yeah. So I can live quite a long time without food. I can live some time without water, but without prana or air, that's, a few minutes, let's be honest. So at the most basic level, you breathe in to take oxygen, and you breathe out carbon dioxide and water, actually. Oxygen is food for our cells to create energy, and carbon dioxide is, let's say, a waste product that your body needs.
Eva? Uh-oh. What do we do now? We lost Eva.
We breathe.
Exactly. Thank you, Nicole. We breathe and we wait for Eva
Let's
to come back.
practice Ujjayi breathing.
I was very enthusiastically talking about that, but I have no idea how long I was there.
We are all breathing while we're waiting for you. There you are again.
That's great. That's great. Because in the end, I only see myself, and you are only such a small line. So that's so hard then to see if I still have you. I'm so sorry. I don't know why. Oh, internet. So I'm back here. So you heard about my Ujjayi story, no? Okay. So we have that. So I was just going over to the next theme, which is pranayama. So what is pranayama? Or I first wanted to say something about the breath itself. So breathing is the
that part we did here. You got cut telling us about the oxygen and the carbo.
Maybe that was the point of the universe. Don't talk so much details. Yeah, you know me. I'm so much into details because I love them so much. Yeah, little details. I think I was just at hey, did you hear the lungs? At least I am so enthusiastic about it because I really love that picture in my head that the world has the big lungs, the woods. I call them the natural world lungs, and the forests and the trees. They need what we exhale, and we need what they exhale in exchange. And that's such a brilliant cycle in the nature. I'm always very humble when I think of it, how great that is, you know, that circle of life with the trees. And I live at the countryside, so I love those trees. So the breath affects everything from our cardiovascular system to the balance and function of our nervous system. So it's much more than just exchanging gases. It helps us to regulate the blood pH. So the normal blood pH is 7.4. So der Blut-pH-Wert vielleicht, um es zu übersetzen. But it varies from 7.35 to 7.45. So in that range, the scale ranges, the general scale of the pH value ranges from 0 to 14, while 0 is the neutral. Yeah. No, 7 is the neutral, sorry. 0 is highly acidic, and 14 is highly alkaline. While you can run into a serious health problem when your blood becomes too acidic or also too alkaline. Like what's a big discussion nowadays, like through overbreathing. When you constantly breathe through your mouth and not through your nose, you get too much oxygen into your body, and that can bring you to severe problems with your health. So when you slow down your breath, your pH level drops and you become more acidic, also sour, the German translation. In contrast, if you breathe faster, so more oxygen in, your pH level rises and you become more alkaline. Means basisch. If you need more energy, for example, because you're running, you need to breathe faster and deeper, and that lowers your blood pH, because you create more carbon dioxide, which your body needs to get rid of. when you just lie on your couch, your body needs less energy. So you breathe less deep, shallower, and slower. I hope that makes sense to you. The way you breathe can also strengthen or weaken especially your immune system. And in fact, it is influencing your well-being. So pranayama can be a real booster to your immune system. And I found that before I did pranayama and some shatkarmas, I had so often a cold. And now at the moment, actually, I have a cold. But it's really rare that I run into a cold nowadays. Before I was ill the whole winter time. And I really feel for myself. And that's something I also always tell everyone who I teach, try out yourself. Find out what really works for you and how it feels for you and what it changed in you. So, but I said I don't want to go too more into details with anatomy. So if you want to know more about these processes and details, I can recommend at the end some literature for that. So now, what is pranayama? Actually, it's an ancient yogic practice of controlling the breath. Sometimes you read that, right? I personally think that controlling is actually very, arrogant to say. It's not very humble because I don't really have control over my breath. If it becomes too much for my body, actually, then consciousness leaves and the body simply breathes itself. So we can't really control it. We can try to deepen. We can try to use it as a tool, but I wouldn't say that we really can control it. Indo Aurora says in a blog post about pranayama, the movement of energy towards matter, for her that's breath. The movement of energy towards consciousness, that's prana. So prana is that life-giving energy. Everything is because of pranayama, and this is the reason a thing becomes a thing, a place becomes a place, and a person becomes a person. The word for human being in Sanskrit is prani, which means one who is filled with prana, or is a pranic being. The techniques are simply to remove the friction at the various points of entry of the prana into the body. For example, anuloma viloma, to remove friction at the level of the nasal septum, in German Nase, Nasenscheidewand, the nasal floor, the sinuses, also Nasennebenhöhlen, Brahmari at the level of the eyes and the nasal bridge, Ujjayi at the level of the vocal cords, the Stimmbänder in German, Shitali and the Sitkari, it's the level of the mouth, which brings a little bit cold inside when it's overheat. Bastrika at the level of the chest, and so on. So the distillation of prana from the breath is pranayama. And that, for me, that's really a good definition for pranayama.
Can you say that again? The very definition, can you say that again, please?
The distillation of prana from the breath is pranayama. So how to integrate now pranayama into yoga class? That's where we are interested in. So when we are organizing an Anusara yoga class, you may start with, let's say, a theme. So a theme could be, let's make something very classical. Everyone knows from a teacher training, serenity or calmness in the midst of the storm. Then you decide about the heart quality you will choose, with which tantric concept you want to connect that, the void, shunyaka, or something like this. You think about a peak pose you want to do, you develop your sequence, what UBA you want to teach, you think about that. And if you want to do a demo, a partner work, or something similar. And when you did all of that, you start to think about what pranayama technique could work for that theme and where to place it. Let's work further with that example. After a warm-up, you could do a bastrika for finding or feeling that storm, getting into that experience and realizing that behind that storm, there is stillness, that void. If you want to do that as a hard quality, to finding that steadiness. So important. Always, when you do a pranayama, also pause, that the people have time after pranayama in class to really feel and integrate also what is going on inside. Yeah. After Bastrika, you can do some challenging balancing poses, where you also give that pause in the balancing to connect again with the storm, the Bastrika storm you did before, the picture you created in your storytelling before, and you can let them in a pause time to feel that. Yeah. And if you have time, you can do also another pranayama to really get deep at end of class or nearly at the end of class into a meditation or a centering or a shavasana, whatever you choose to do. And there are super easy practices like Sahita or Loma Pranayama, which will really help the students to experience themselves beyond their physical body, which is what we really want, to feel that there is more and to make them more aware of being conscious. Also in the pauses, also in Shavasana. So as I mentioned, Bastrika, who of you is integrating Bastrika in your yoga classes? Is anyone? Yeah, I see one. Okay, so yeah, why not using Bastrika when it works with the theme? So maybe I talk a little bit about Bastrika, because I have the feeling that people are a little bit afraid of it. And I'm also often asked, what's the difference between Kapalabhati and Bastrika? And if there are any, but there are actually many. So for example, Kapalabhati relieves the body from excess heat and removes stagnation of the doshas, while Bastrika builds heat in the body to mobilize mucus and allows for pranic expansion. When we practice Kapalabhati, the movement of the belly, it's always upwards, like a wave, from the belly up towards the head. Well, with Bastrika, we have the expansion in three-dimensional area. It is an expansion in the chest, especially the chest region. What else? When you practice Kapalabhati, your focus is on the abdominal region and in the head area. With Bastrika, your focus is mainly in the chest, in the lungs, and in the heart area. When your focus is on exhalation only, you practice Kapalabhati. Just Kapalabhati. In Bastrika, the focus is on both inhalation and exhalation. Yeah, as we are talking about Bastrika, why not just try one Bastrika? Are you fine with that? Yeah? Okay, great. So I try to show a little bit more of myself for that you can see me. See if that works. So. So, if possible, find a little spot where you just can at least kneel on the floor, but you also can just sit on your chair, but just bring the feet up so that you have really a good position where to sit and a little bit of space behind. So you can also just grab the chair, the back of the chair, that you really have a good seat. Yeah. And actually the breath we do when we are in the posture is that we inhale through the nose and we exhale through the mouth. And the exhalation we do is so you close the mouth a little bit and the sound, the noise you make is so you really push out hard all the oxygen you're able, oh, not the oxygen, of course, CO2. So you inhale through the nose, just try once, and you exhale through the mouth. Yeah. Okay, those who I see doing it, it looks good. So the important thing, what I said, what makes the difference if I practice Bastrika or Kapalabhati is that I expand my lungs a lot. So I work here in the chest. I don't work so much in the belly like with Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati is I relax my belly for inhalation and I really powerfully draw in and activate my abdominal muscles. With Bastrika, I try to expand my chest. That part, I really try to open up, to reach up here, to make it really full in the chest. So I really also can have the picture of really widening that area, the rib cage. And then very powerful, very forcefully, I exhale. We do 9 exhalations in that really small practice. And the posture. So there are several postures possible. One is, that's a very easy one. You just sit on your heels. You grab your hands behind. Then you first inhale and open up the front. You know, from Anusara, inner body, bright side body long. So you really do that activation. You really do that UPA a lot. So you have set the foundation first. You sit, you have a good basis, a good foundation. And from that, you lift up the side body and inner body bright. You really shine from inside out. And you bring your fingertips at the back. So it's a variation of camel pose, Ustrasana, Sampurna Ustrasana. And from here, you are inhaling. And there you really focus on opening up the chest area. And then you exhale. Inhale. Inhale. The 9 of those deep breath, you sit up and just feel. You pause and figure out what is going on in your body. And it will be a lot. We can talk a lot about pranayama actually, but what is really helpful is to give it a try. And I know from myself, I thought, pranayama, I breathe, so what's the point? I was a runner, so everything is fine, I can breathe. Yeah, but it's such a different, if you do the proper exercise, you really feel what the benefit of the exercise really is. And that is really, and it's really worth doing. And you heard it, so you can do that technique. You can do 3 rounds and with an advanced group. So I wouldn't do it with beginners. So with advanced students who are already a little bit used to pranayama, you can do that after a warm-up session. So you first warm up your body, of course, because all those muscles, the intercostal muscles, they are not warmed up. So what is really nice is to give first some inner body bright and side body long poses for preparation, for warm up for the technique. And you can also do some seated twists to get a little warm up in that area of the body. Lifting the arms is also nice because you really elongate the side body. So a warm up like this. And then you integrate the pranayama, the Bhastrika in that. So, and then after that, you do more advanced poses. And you really also feel that you feel activated after the Bhastrika. That you really feel, wow, okay. So try at home. Do 3 rounds, 9 to 12 of those really powerful inhalations and exhalations. And you really can feel the benefit of it. And that's so important. Maybe you felt it now. Maybe if you did it with me, you can feel that already with just the 9 of those breaths. It's already, something changes already. You feel, I can feel it now. I feel a little bit more focused than before. Yeah. So are you all still feeling good, or does someone feel a little bit nauseous? Yeah. Yeah. So that's one thing you can do. So a very activating pranayama technique at the beginning, not really at the beginning as right after our invocation. So for me, pranayama needs also a little bit of warm-up. You don't need to do much, but 5 or 10 minutes warm up, what you need to do for your, let's say, peak pose, if you chose to have a peak pose, So do that, integrate that, check that there are some actions of side body long and inner body bright to really warm up the breathing area. If you do Kapalabhati in the beginning, which is also nice, and you can also integrate it in the downward facing dog, some Kapalabhati, which actually is not really a pranayama, but let's not be too much into detail here. You can do Kapalabhati and focus on the out breath. And then therefore you need some warm up for the abdominal muscles, because it's working the abdominals when you do Kapalabhati, because it's just exhalation, exhale, 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 really powerful and quick. Yeah. So Bhastrika and Kapalabhati are always called by the same name. So in the most literature, when you look for Bhastrika or Kapalabhati, you will find a very similar description of how it works. But in other pranayama, with other pranayama techniques, there are often different names for the same technique. So Viloma can have so many different ways of doing, but also there are a variety of techniques under the same name, where you think you know what it is, but then it turns out to be something really completely different. So don't get confused with it. The best is to learn with a teacher and not focus so much on the name of the technique. Focus more on what it's doing with you. So for me, it's super important. All those techniques I teach, I really tried out myself for a few months or years. There are some techniques I already, Viloma 3-part breathing. Yes. I tried out before I taught it the first time. I did for 3 or 5 years because I really wanted to really feel it in really my very core before I teach it. So you don't need to go with that with every pranayama, because most of the pranayama techniques are easy, like Viloma. So you can do that pretty. So you maybe try it a month. And let's see if you react on it. So maybe as we already there at Viloma, maybe can talk about it and maybe do it. So Loma means hair and V is against. So it's against the natural order of breath. The benefits of Viloma, there are actually 2 or 3 different ways of how to do Viloma. So Viloma 1, the benefit is it helps you when you have low blood pressure. So it balances the blood pressure. You do Viloma 2 when you have high blood pressure, and it can help you to balance that. And Viloma 3, it's when you have neither, you do Viloma 3. I just think about indications. Yes, there are. So if you have really high blood pressure, do it in lying on the floor. So that's helpful and more relaxation. And if you have any heart complaints, it's good to practice other techniques before. So let's do Viloma 1. And Viloma 1 means that you inhale in 3 parts with a gentle pause in between. So as a teacher, you instruct it like this. You say in, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, pause. 1, 2, 3, pause. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then you pause again. And again, in. And the in is for me, always 1. So I'm always on 1 with the in, 2, 3, pause, 1, 2, 3, pause, and further. So you can repeat that 10 to 15 times, rounds. And after the technique, you pause for a few minutes in natural breathing. You just observe your breath. And also, of course, you try to give your students time before you do the exercise to first feel their breath is, where they are in their natural breathing. And then you start with the technique. With Viloma, you can also do some visualization. So our loops come into that. So in Anusara, we have secondary universal principles of alignment, which we call loops. And we can work with the loops a little bit for the visualization. So at the beginning, when you inhale, you visualize the first part from the pubic, or from the pubic area up to the navel. So that's our pelvic loop. Then you visualize lifting from the back waistline up through the kidneys, the kidney loop, and come forward to the focal point at the bottom of your heart. And the third part of the inhalation, you lift from the focal point of the heart to the very top where your lungs end. And you know, lungs are up to here. So that's all once, you know. And if I do that in class, I have maybe people there who have high blood pressure. I have maybe there with low. I tell them, you know best what you have. And the easy thing with that breathing technique is I can only count, and the student can start in their field what their challenge is. So those who have issues with high blood pressure can start with the exhalation when I count 1, 2, 3, pause, 1, 2, 3, pause, 1, 2, 3, pause. And then inhale on 9. And those with the low blood pressure, they can just do it the other way around. So I don't need to say inhale and exhale. I can tell them before, you know, if you have low blood pressure, join the 3-part during your inhalation and exhale at the count of 9. And the others do it the other way around. So even when you have different people, which of course you have, and you don't know, you can give them the possibility to choose in which way they want to practice. And also, of course, can tell them to lie down if they find it more convenient for themselves. Yeah. And the most important thing is to give your students time to feel. Because we as teachers, we tend to move on, because to keep space, to keep room for experiencing what's going on in your body, that's hard to stand. Even at the beginning of your pranayama career, teaching pranayama career, it's a little hard to stand that pause. Because some people who did the first time with pranayama, they are like, okay, I don't feel anything. And then we think we need to do something. But that's the moment where we just stop, shut up, and give them time to really feel. And for me, it's very important to first give myself the time to feel the technique before I teach it. So just check if I have any notes. So that was a very short, quick overview of how we can try to integrate, and maybe, hopefully, I inspired you a little bit to try it. So you don't teach Bastrika, but is anyone here who's teaching pranayama in classes? Oh, great. A little bit. Yeah. And a little bit is already a good start. And also Ujjayi is something we can really easily integrate without making pressure on our students that they really need to feel something, that they really need to be loud. Yeah. For me, it was something which really brought me away from pranayama, because I always had the feeling I do it wrong. So from my experience, especially Ujjayi, just comes with Anusara practice, because our practice is really meant to be so much focused on our UPAs, our body, and also the theme we got from our teacher, that really with all that focus and awareness, Ujjayi just happens naturally. But we can bring the awareness to that what happens naturally of our students there, that they realize it. Oh, wow, I do it. And to be conscious about what we are doing. Yeah, to be more present in what we are doing. That's something we want to get out of yoga. And pranayama is having tools to get more conscious, to be more conscious, and to find more of the silence within when we are in the middle of a storm. And yeah, I think a lot of people nowadays are right in the middle of a storm. At least I always hear that when I talk to my students. Yeah, we as teachers also, we have our challenges. And then it's good to have our tools available to work through those challenges. And there are so many great techniques to learn. And there are now so many good books out of pranayama. They were not there 15 years ago or 20. But nowadays there are a lot of good books. And you can just read the technique. Maybe easier to find a teacher, because from reading it's always to really find that connection then is a little hard. But it's a beginning, and it's good to do some research and find what kind of benefits you want to have out of it. So that's what my content now, what I wanted to bring to you. And I think we are open for questions if they are there.
Thank you. I have a question as usual.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have more light on me. I liked it that you combined the Viloma with the parts of the loops. And I was wondering, do you have any specific cue for the exhalation as well? Did I miss that, or did you say anything about it? Do you go down the loop?
Maybe I forgot to say, because I was so much focused on the 3 parts. Thank you, Julia, for saying it. Yeah, for me, actually, it is, I do the loops coming up, and with the exhalation, I just drop very slowly at the pelvic floor. So I really have the feeling like a drop Yeah, like my prana drop. It's just relaxing down. And then
cool,
I pause and start again.
like more in a
Or
central
when you do
line then.
number 2, you the other way around. Sorry?
Like more in a central line then, like very centered midline. Oh, cool, nice, thank you.
Yeah, actually at Sushumna Nadi. So I really drop down the Sushumna Nadi till the beginning, till the pelvic floor. And from there I start again.
That's a really cool way of integrating as well visualization, right? Thank you, thank you. There is another question at the chat. Some people ask, Lydia is asking whether you can write some books. You could enfällen some books.
Yeah. There is one actually good book by Dylan Werner, Breath Illuminated, I think it's called. And I really think he did a good job with that book. I would suggest to buy the English version because the German version has some errors. The translation job was not really well done, sadly. So buy the English version, the original version. That's a really good one. The Light on Pranayama, actually, from Vikai Sayeng, is still a very good book. If you want to know more about research, James Nestor wrote a book, it's just called Breath. It's very informative. And he is also providing a lot of research. He is one of those who also says that you shouldn't breathe through the mouth. You just, and I myself, and I have a little cold since a few days. And I really I realized that I open a lot through the mouth, and I felt how strange it feels because everything gets dry. And so it's really when you're not used to breathe through the mouth, you really feel that it's really not a good thing to breathe through the mouth. Yeah, and he's explaining it very well, and he's also doing some self-experience, some research with a colleague of him, and also provides research in that field in the book. Yeah.
And the book's names is Breath.
Breath.
Cool. Thanks. Any other questions?
Yeah, I wrote one. You said Eva, it's Leah, you warm up always before doing pranayama, but are there any pranayamas, especially for beginning teachers, that you do advise at the beginning of practice? Because in Amsterdam, at least, there's a lot of centering by using pranayama to get people from like the crazy work into their practice. So I found that interesting to see if there are any pranayamas that you do, not the Basika or Kalpalabhati.
Yeah, you can really do like Sukha Pranayama, so really just inhale and exhale very slowly to just bring your students to center, because they come from their office and everything is really crazy out there, a lot of chaotic chaos out there. And so we as teachers think we need first to give them some relaxation, but usually in Anusara we start with storytelling. And so my experience is after the storytelling and after the invocation, I do at least a little bit of warm up, even if it's just a side stretch or cat-cow or something like this, before I really do a pranayama. So of course I can do some breathing before, just natural, following the natural breath, but pranayama, I always do a little bit. And if it's just 2 minutes, just twist and side stretch or something. Of course, you don't need to do a full range of Surya Namaskar or something like this. Yeah, you can leave them seated or lying down if you have them there. But I always do it at least a little bit before to bring them into their body, because when they're just sitting there and listening to you because you're doing the storytelling, I think it's good to make them aware of the body first with just 3-4 movements, and then start with the pranayama. But that's just me, you need to experience yourself. That's what I meant. So we are tantrikas, no? We always want to know the details. So we were focusing on what does it really give us. So we take it from the teacher, we try it, and maybe it's a tool we put down or in the bag for the moment, and maybe use it later, and maybe we just integrate it immediately. So that's also what I always tell my students: try, give it a try. If you don't like it, or if you don't feel any benefit for you, lay it aside. Maybe later, maybe never. But it's so important that we really feel the benefit ourselves, because that's the only way, I think, that we really can teach it and not only instruct it. Thank you, Leah. So good to see you.
Thank you, Eva. It's like the reminder that we do not teach what we do not know, right? We only teach what we know, what we experience, what we can really understand. And we can only do that through practice. So really cool presentation. I have to thank you very much for being willing to be with us today. Any other questions? I mean, we already passed 5 minutes and I still have to do a few announcements. It's okay if internet connections makes us, I think we're never on time, so do not worry. Okay, so I don't see any more hands, so I'll go to a screen share again. The invitation now is for next month. We will continue practicing because this is really cool. We will practice. So it's going to be June 4th at 8 p.m. with Kristinka Maslarska. She's from Greece. She's a certified Anusara teacher from Greece. She'll be teaching in English, and it will be only in English because it's a bit easier like that. Really looking forward. Save the date, June 4th, at the same time in the same channel. If you want to send us your feedback, please go ahead and use the link you see, or you can even with your phone use the QR code. Many of us in here are teachers, so if you want to apply to present, please do so. We are Kula Brajana, waiting for everybody to share their light. And special announcement, yeah, we are going to Spain, Samavesha, in November 2nd, between the 2nd and the 5th. I just heard now, I haven't checked my newsletter, but I just read now that in the newsletter, we got already the application to teach. There is a special application for experienced certified teachers as well as certified teachers. And this year, we're also giving opportunities to Elements teachers and Inspired teachers to come and teach. They have 2 different applications. Maybe, Julia, you can share those in the chat for everybody. If you like pranayama and you will like to go back to if you would like to get deeper into the studies of pranayama, you can join Eva. I do believe you're giving a pranayama Ausbildung, teacher training. We can go back to that in a few seconds. I'll give you the microphone again, Eva. But I also wanted to ask you if you are liking our efforts, our sharing, our platform in here, and you want to support the growing of our Anusara School of Hatha Yoga, you can go with your phone in this QR code, which will take you directly to the donation page from the school. Any donations are always welcome. No more to say, so I thank you, and I'll invite you for next month, 4th of June. And yes, Eva, before we leave, where are you? Can you tell us, I do know that you're doing a couple of teacher trainings, you're always doing workshops, and can you just let us know before we go?
Yeah, yes, I do. Also, especially focus on pranayama. So there is one advanced teacher training weekend, 24 hours in the beginning of June, which is available for in Vienna in the studio or online. So you can also join online. It's part of the 300-hour program, which Anusara offers. So you can use that 24 hours for your advanced teacher training if you are heading for certification. There is also a pranayama course. Actually, it's in German, so it's just for German speakers at the moment, at least. It's an online course. It's about, I don't know, 100 videos at the moment or something, where I really do a lot of different techniques, where I explain and really slow growing into a deeper pranayama level. I think about maybe 15 different or 20 different pranayama techniques. I explain and also guide you through to deepen the practice of lot of pranayama techniques. So that course is available online at the moment only in German, but I plan to do that also in English, but it will last a while because it's really a lot of videos. Yeah, I think that's at the moment what I have about pranayama. And in autumn, not yet at the homepage, but soon there will be a pranayama day, which will be less focus on teachers, but also with a focus on more on practitioners. So we do 2 asana practice and we mix some pranayamas into the asana practice. So that's more a practical thing, less or even less theory, more practice. Yeah. Thank you, Leticia.
Really cool to know, really, really cool. Julia asked online trainings, and yes, the one that I share in here, that advanced training / advanced training pranayama, that one is both in Vienna and online as well. So yes, lots of opportunities you cannot say that we didn't tell you. So now you know. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Lovely seeing so many faces, and looking forward to, first of all, seeing Eva at some point in Vienna. And in another way is everybody will see each other in Samavesha, November, yay. And before that, we can join next month, June 4th, and bring your mat, because it will be an asana practice. See you all. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.